It's where we go to next. It was one of the topics at a webinar on substance abuse. Let's bring in now from UKZN Professor Nirmala Gopal on this. Senior Criminology Lecturer. Prof, good to have you with us. Help me understand then, why have this webinar? Where did this come from? What were you trying to ascertain exactly? Good morning.
Good morning, Gareth, and good morning to Melo, as well as to your viewers. Thank you very much for the invitation. Yes, of course. The idea from this arose from the fact that we had, I had hosted an international professor from the University of Toronto in Canada who is busy researching drug use, specifically Xanax, the use of Xanax among school learners in Umlazi and Chatsworth. So that formed the genesis, and I of course thought it's a really crucial and contemporary topic for us to share the kind of results that he has actually generated through his study.
And so what have we taken away from this study, Prof? What have you now taken away from this as well? Because we are very aware of how serious the drug scourge is in this country. Tumelo having an interview just a couple of minutes ago about Child Protection Week and the effects of drugs on young children as well. In this whole society that deals with issues around drugs and criminology, where does this fit in? What are we hoping to do with this information?
So I think the takeaway message for most people out there was the fact that there are no clear pathways to employment for young people who leave school. And I think that's also reflected in our unemployment statistics, which for me at the moment is a social epidemic in South Africa. And unfortunately, because it's not a medical epidemic, our government is not as interested or does not invest adequate resources to deal with the issue of unemployment. The second takeaway from that particular webinar is the fact that we stigmatize drug users, and yet through Professor Hunter's research, we were able to ascertain the fact that heroin users in particular are really hardworking individuals, and they provide very valuable social labor. And by social labor, I mean, cleaning yards, properties, taking on construction work in neighborhoods, etc. But of course, the reasons for that are quite different, I suppose, as compared to being in a formal employment sector.
When we talk about the scourge and we talk about the stigma, I think it's very pertinent. I do need to ask the question, though, and I need to be quite careful not to stigmatize even further, Professor. So correct me if I'm going off track here, but is there a link, according to the research, between drug use and violence and crime? And again, I'm not trying to stereotype, but is there a link there?
Gareth, I think for most people, the link that we probably make is misinformed. And I think when we think of drugs and crime, we think of the end user and his or her relationship with crime. However, there are different tiers of the links between drugs and crime, starting right at the top of the level, at the level of the government. And then you have your law enforcement agencies, where you see the link between corrupt law enforcement agents, working complicitly with drug traffickers, and then you have the issue of drug traffickers, which in itself is a crime. And then right at the end of that tunnel, you would find the link between the end user and crime. But just one step before that, of course, the link between drugs and crime also emanates from drug lords. And especially the violence that we see in Wentworth and that we've seen previously in Chatsworth, it's drug lords and crime, and not necessarily the end user.
And Prof, just before I say goodbye to you now, and this is fascinating reading, I've only got short excerpts of it. As I say goodbye to you, Prof, so this seminar has been held. Is this going to be available for public consumption? Because there's fascinating insights coming out, but also, as you said, takeaways from this, which could be used in other sectors. Is this available anywhere else, or are there plans to make this available anywhere else?
The University of KwaZulu-Natal has made it available on YouTube. So anybody who's interested in it can watch it on YouTube.
Oh, there we go. nice and easy. UKZN YouTube channel, that's where we're going to go and watch this, because it really is a fascinating conversation. UKZN Senior Criminology Lecturer, Professor Nirmala Gopal joining us. Incredible research into the link between unemployment and drugs from the 19th century to the era of Wunga. Nandi with sports.